Hello everyone. So in this video I'll be discussing about props. What is props in React? Props is a mechanism, you can think of it as a mechanism in React to pass data onto components. Okay, when we have to pass data to components, we use this mechanism of props. Now let us check it with a practical demonstration. Let us take the example that we did in our last video. Now we were clear with this concept of creating components, right? So this app.js is a component. Also we have this folder, this subfolder inside source directory. We have components as a subfolder, and inside this folder we have another file named subcomponent.js, which again itself is a component file. So we treat this app.js as a parent component file, and all other component files will be placed inside this subfolder named components, and this will remain as it is inside the root source directory. Okay, so now coming to props, let us go to subcomponent.js file and let us write a variable. Let us declare a variable and initialize it with a value. Let's say x equals 5. Okay, now if I want to display this variable, I can display it right. Let's give it a p tag and let's display it using curly braces. Now it will show me errors like this. Why? Because I'm trying to return two values. Now since you can only return one value at a time, so you'll have to wrap it inside a div. You can wrap it inside a div. Since in HTML you can treat div as a wrapper, so let us put it inside a div. Now you are actually returning one value which can have multiple child components, not components, multiple child elements. Okay, now I've declared this x and I've initialized a data 5. So I have used it and it should return me as a valid output. Let's check. Yeah, so I am getting 5 as my output, and this as constant, this will remain there, right? So now where does props come into scene is, let's assume that let's cut this from this subcomponent file and let's place it inside my app.js file, and I want to pass this x from this app.js to subcomponent file, and I want to pass this x from this app.js to subcomponent file, and this subcomponent file will be it will return this x to me, right? So how I can achieve that is I'll have to pass it as an attribute to the subcomponent. So let's write an attribute name. Let's name it data. You can give it any name, and the variable name, let's say variable which I am trying to pass. So data equals to x, and when you are passing the data, when you are passing attributes, you'll have to use this format of format of JSX. Okay, you'll have to open JSX, you have to close JSX. Okay, now you have passed this variable to the subcomponent, and the subcomponent should receive this data. So in order to receive, it has to have this props here. So basically what it does is, you're throwing the data from this side and it catches the data here in props. Okay, so any number of data if you send, it will catch it. Okay, so now if I try to run it, it will throw me error. Look, it will throw me errors. If you see here in the browser itself, it's showing me error. Why? Because the pattern in which I am writing this is not correct. I'll have to write props.x. okay, if I write props.x, it will show me. Okay, it's not showing me. Props.data, sorry, it will be props.data, because the attribute name was data. The attribute name was data, right? So now if I run it, it will show me the data 5. Okay, so next, let's say I want to submit multiple data. Let's say let's change the data. Let's think of it as a game. Okay, let's think of it as a game, and let's write here, hey, welcome to this game. Okay, and let's put here who are you and what's your score. Okay, let's just give it some meaning to the program, and let us put in some variables. Let's say player name, and let's put a player name, let's say John, and player score. Okay, let's put it in smalls, player name and player score. Let's say player score is 90. Now what I can do is, I can send the name as player name, and I can send other variable player say score as player score. Okay, let's put p name and p score. Now if I type in here props dot p name, and let's put props dot p score, what I get as output is, look, I get John, I get 90. John is the name of the player and 90 is his score. So this way you can work it out. Let me explain it once again. What we did was that we created two variables, player name and player score, and we assigned some value to those variables. Now what we did was, we passed these variables as attributes to the subcomponent, right? Attribute p name has the value of player name, attribute p score has the value of player score, which is 90, and it gives it to the subcomponent, which is inside the components folder, and it receives this as props. Okay, it receives this as objects, and those objects have properties, and we access the properties with props dot the property name, which is this attribute p name and p score. So in the subcomponent file you can access this as object dot property name, object dot property name. So that way you can create your components and pass data among components using props. So if you found this video meaningful, please comment, and if you have not understood any concept behind using components and props, please do let me know. I'll try to improve the content, and thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Thank you guys.